Welcome to the Athletes in Motion podcast, from race to recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Kenny. How are you?
I am fantastic because we have Sarah back on our program. This is part of our Triathletes Journey program, and Sarah was kind enough to join us to help walk through sort of how her training's going and her first race and subsequent second race coming up. So, Sarah, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Welcome
For
back.
the audience, could you let us know what you have coming up here?
Yes. So I am about 2 weeks out from my first triathlon as we're recording this.
It will probably air the week of your triathlon. So it'll be
Great.
2 weeks
So I'm
out.
one
So
week out.
let's just do take two. So I'm a week away
Week
from
away
my
from
triathlon.
I am 1 week away from my triathlon. And I've been talking about it a lot with my friends, especially those I've been training with. I am feeling nervous and excited. And then I have my second triathlon will be about 2 weeks after that. So
So our next recording is going to be the post of both of those. So we're going to let you go
Yes.
back to back on those, and then we'll come back and see you again. So let's break it down. On the physical part, we'll talk about the mental part in a second, but on the physical part, how's the training going? How are you physically feeling to get ready for your sprint?
yeah, it's interesting. So I think last time we spoke, I was talking about I was going into my April, which is always my craziest work season. It was also final season with my master's program. And I definitely trained less days in April, but it was interesting. I kind of looked back at the end of the month and I had done close to the same mileage as the month before. And so, or same distances. And so that was encouraging for me to see, like, okay, I really did still keep up. Even though it was, I had longer, I would find like longer chunks to do more mileage, even if I couldn't do it every single day.
Okay.
And so May has found me back training, but also working through kind of the program I have to start tapering a little bit in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So not quite yet. And I'm feeling pretty good. I think I physically wish that I had even more time to train, just,
Everyone does,
but life and work
Yeah.
and grad school and all the things demand a bit of time. And so it's just, I've done what I can do so far,
Of the three disciplines, which ones are the ones that you're most comfortable with, and which ones are the ones you're most nervous about?
I think I'm feeling most nervous about the bike, to be honest, because I think just I don't feel like I have enough knowledge for, like, if something happens in the middle of the race, I don't know if I get a flat, if other things. And I've heard from both interviews y'all have done and others that I've listened to and friends, like, there may be people alongside the race. And the race that I'm doing with Team Magic, they have a really great support system for first-time
Great.
triathlon people.
Yeah.
But I think that's the one I'm the most nervous about, because it feels like everything else is kind of dependent on me, right? Swim and run.
Exactly.
It's me, my body,
That's a good point.
my shoes on or my suit on or whatever. But the bike brings in a lot more material. So I feel ready for it as far as physically, but I think just like, what if something goes wrong and I don't know how to fix it, is what I probably feel the most
Anxiety over.
of the disciplines.
But
Anxiety.
you feel good on the bike. You feel like you can handle the bike well if somebody
Yeah.
does something silly and darts out, like, and
I hope
you can.
so.
We'll find
think
out, I guess.
so. We'll find out. We will find out.
You come back with like an
Stay
eye
tuned.
patch and, well,
We
thanks,
will
Kenny, for
find
jinxing me on
out.
that one.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? Come on.
Kenny does that. Kenny
I
does
do
that.
have a plan. I would love to hear from you guys if you think this is a good idea, but since it's a local race, I do have a plan that I may try to go bike the route. It's a double loop, so I think at least like do one of the loops and run the route.
Yes.
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 If you can,
Yes.
anytime that you can be on the course, be on the course.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. That's the benefit of it being a local race, is that you'll be able to take a look at things. You'll be able to have a better idea of some corners, if there's any bumps, potholes, that type of stuff on the road, you'll be able to have a fresher look at it. It's easier on race day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
sure.
that kind of goes back to that mentality portion. I think you were talking about how you're nervous. What that helps do is reduce that anxiety of the unknown.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like it. Like there's some races where I don't really want to know, to be honest with you, because if I know a hill's coming up, I'm going to be upset and I'm going to be angst over it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's going to be like, oh, that's going to be really hilly and I don't want to deal with it. Or if you just don't know it, you're in the middle of it, like, crap, I guess I'm in the middle of a hill. I got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But most of the time, having that just removes that anxiety. How you said you were getting nervous? Which part are you nervous about?
The whole thing.
Probably the whole thing. Just
with the start and then the finish.
Right?
Everything in between.
I guess I don't feel nervous about the swim because we've talked about that. I feel the most comfortable with that. And I know and I understand. I think I heard this from y'all interviewing the Team Magic people and listening to that of they're very intentional about how they stagger the swim start times and everything. But I think I need to practice my transitions a little bit more. I practice them with Tom and I'm feeling nervous about those. So I know if I practice those some more, I'll feel more comfortable. And then I think just not having done it like all together and in a race environment and all of that, I think it will be very exciting. Like I'm anticipating it being very like exciting and lots of good energy, but I'm just nervous about kind of like putting it all together and doing it.
Yeah. When you do it in practice, it's the thing of like, well, if it doesn't go right, you're fine, right? You just stop. Right? It's no big deal. But now when it's race day, it's the thing.
Yeah.
So there's no like you just got to keep moving through it and figure out the best way. So
but there's something cool about having a bid number on like things and then you look around and there's a bunch of people. Because I have the same fear you do, right? Even I don't have an experience with this stuff, but everyone feels like when I show up, everyone's going to look like, a pro elite athlete. They're all going to be, 6 feet, 135 pounds, leaned out, and I'm going to be like, why am I here, right? And then you find out you just got normal people, right? You just people are just as nervous as you. Probably the best way to cover nervousness is you find somebody else that's more nervous than you are. Right. And go, what's your problem? I mean, I had a guy in Oregon did that. He came, we were standing there. He's like, I'm super nervous about this. I said, tell me why. And he's like, we started talking through it. And I said, it's this and it's this, and it helps me kind of get that anxiety. But it sounds like it's also excitement from you. It's not just, you're not freaking out over it. I think you're just anticipating the ride, if you will, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just had 2 friends who did a triathlon recently. And so they did it together. One who is a bit more seasoned and one who's brand new. And so it's been fun talking to them to go like, how did it go? What did you wish you had? Especially the one who's also a first timer. And to hear how, and her kind of initial take was, I can see why this is really addicting. And she has another one planned in August. So yeah. So
if you're a process person, or if you just like the way of things, there's 38 things you have to do. And you're going to focus on those 3 things that, on the next race, like, oh man, if I would have done it this way, I probably, and you think of those, it was just stupid stuff, right? I mean, like I had a pair of Zoomies on for one race because it was cold enough to wear a wetsuit, but warm enough not to have to. So I thought I'll just wear my floaty pants and that'll be easier. And I forgot to take them off on the bike. So I'm leaving the bike exit with a pair of floaty pants on. And I'm like, so what you do, you pull over, I peel them off. I threw them in the ditch and somebody's like, I got you. And you just go. So the mistakes are going to be oops, but I don't think you're trying to go for a podium this time. Is that a fair statement?
No, I was very encouraged. I don't know if we said this on the podcast last time or maybe even after we finished recording. So apologies to the listening audience, but Tom was encouraging me to approach it like a practice, like particularly this first one and just get my feet under me, kind of learn how everything runs. And so I've tried to keep that in my head along with being like nervous and excited. And I was even talking about that with one of the women I train alongside of, because she's doing the women's triathlon too. And we were both just talking about that because we both have other races this summer. And so looking at this very first one as we're just learning, right?
Yeah,
I think that's fantastic. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
You just have fun with it.
And your next race. Yeah, I'm sorry. Your next race is 2 weeks.
My next race is 2 weeks. Yeah. So the first one is May 21st. The second one is June the 4th.
And that's a sprint or an Olympic?
It's a sprint as well.
Okay. And that's the one that's going to be, is this the first one in the pool? Is that right?
The first one's in a pool. The second one is swim in the river. So I haven't gotten to go out and do any open water swim currently. I know Tom's been offering that. I will be down at a lake in Alabama this weekend. So I'm planning to take my brightest cap and go swim, do some open water swim there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm
Yeah.
hosting, I have to look at the calendar. I was going to host people out at the lake. I think it's the weekend after your first race,
Okay. So maybe
as
I'm
an
gonna-
open water swim practice. Get your face in the water and, kind of get used to the open water before the Nashville Tri, which is the other one on June 4th. So
Yeah.
we'll be hosting some people up there just to hopefully get at least their first experience in open water for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something a lot different. There's no black lines. You actually have to look up and see where you're going, that kind of thing. So
The
which
sighting
I'm the
is
worst,
the
right?
sighting's interesting, but you'll be going along the shore of the river, so you'll be able to
It's
see
going to be
that
super
one
simple.
side plus the buoys, and if you're concerned, you just kind of sit up and the river just takes you. So
Great.
Yeah.
Oh,
you'll go.
okay. That's a question I've had
Yeah.
It's
multiple
downriver.
people ask me this week
Yeah,
is the river swim upstream or downstream?
downstream.
No, it's always downstream.
It's
It's
downstream.
funny. To Tom's point, I've done this race. You just jump off the dock and you are swimming 8 feet from the dock. Like you're staring people as you're swimming, you're looking up and there's people staring at you from the dock, like getting ready to get in because they're in line. And then you got a little bit of open area, but you look up and there's the beach. So you're already, I mean, it's a very short swim. And the joke is a tin can finish it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a current. So
There's a
you
section
just need to-
probably halfway
Yeah.
halfway almost to the finish where you can actually walk out of the water if you
Yeah.
need to. Right. You can
Great,
literally,
yeah.
the shoreline is right there, and you can
Yeah.
stop, stand up, sit down, rest, whatever, and hop back in again.
Yeah.
But basically all you have to do is just float.
Yeah.
If you do nothing else, you will get to the finish of the swim
Yeah.
in plenty of time.
Great.
So,
And it's a
good.
great road. The bike course is good, and then the run course is just it's an industrial district and it's hot and gross and nobody likes it. But it's a good out and back 5K.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So when
it'll
we
be fun.
talked about before, you mentioned what Team Magic does, and I think we might have mentioned this in an earlier podcast, what Team Magic does for their new triathletes. And they started it last year. They have a concierge who's fantastic, Janet Byers, and she connects with all the first timers. You get a special color swim cap, and then you get a wristband. So that allows all the people, all the volunteers and the supporters to actually keep an eye on people with the wristbands and the different color caps. So if there's ever an issue or whatever, you raise your hand, they're keeping an eye on those folks, especially. And you can get that cap even if you're a seasoned professional, that has some anxiety in the swim or something. You can get that cap as well. It just allows the supporters and the volunteers out there in the kayaks to just keep an eye on you, which is kind of nice.
Fantastic idea.
I think when they stepped that up, I was so happy and impressed with them thinking forward about their athletes that way. I mean, they just put on such a great race. So
That's awesome. Yeah, they emailed this week. So they email about 2 weeks before the race, I guess. And they have a Zoom call the week of the race to help talk through any questions, talk through the course, tips for first timers. And they also have a website for first timers with like tips and different FAQs. And it's just really nice to feel so supported in it. And kind of welcomed in. And
that's
yeah,
good.
I mean, to echo what Tom says, I think what Team Magic, just they're doing a women's only triathlon and, they're taking accommodations for people that are new. I think they're doing all the right things. I mean, they're hitting all the right boxes, and that's encouraging for old timers like Tom and I, because we want to see people, get into the sport and be excited about it and be able to your point, it's a complex 3 sports combined into one, and it gets complex, and you're carrying a bunch of gear and and the fact that people are helping you kind of understand and navigate that so that when you can just have a great experience. So we're excited for you. I think it feels to me like you said, you're doing the workouts, and it's probably everybody feels like at some point you're probably not doing enough or doing whatever. You never feel like totally ready. Rarely do you do. Right. But it sounds like you're a good headspace. You're approaching it, like you said, not sort of like an excitable practice, but you just go through the progression. That's what you're going to do. So it feels like your headspace coming in is great, and the attitude is everything on these things, right? So if you just know something's going to go wrong, you just kind of fix it and move forward. Fix it, move forward. You'll be I think you'll be great.
Thanks. That's great advice. I need to just keep that in mind and
keep that in mind. Yeah.
Great.
Make sure during the race, make sure you stop and smile and look around. Seriously, it seems little. It seems like this, whatever. It's if you just like you're about to get on the bike and run out of transition, just stop, take a breath, look around and just be amazed, like soak it all in, enjoy that part of it, especially as you're coming up to the finish on the run. You're getting there to the finish, you're going through, soak it in. There's going to be a lot of people there cheering. You feel like a rock star. It's the coolest part of the race is going in and out of transitions, because there's so many people there cheering you on, and it's just a great experience. It really is. Are there any workouts that you hate right now? Is there anything you dread? Like when you get up, just like when you look at your schedule and you go, oh, if I have to do another set of,
you follow a schedule,
and yeah, some people
a
do.
little bit. I think the one that I didn't like the most is I had one that was a brick workout, but it wasn't just a brick workout. It was like, well, it was working on transition. So it was like biking and running about 4 different times of like transitioning to that. And so just like to the logistics of, because doing it and being like, oh, are these people seeing me like run back and forth and then bike back and forth and then all of that, but also just the like, okay, now get back on. Okay, now so I know it's probably really good for like my legs and the practice and the, but that set of it all together was not my favorite. I'm like, I just would like to do this once. Maybe it's good because then like on race day, it's like, well, I'm just doing that transition 1 time instead of 4 times. But yeah, I would say that's probably my least favorite so far.
Which is
I will say
my most favorite one, by the way.
Yeah, my surprising most favorite one is that my friend Elizabeth Rose, I feel like I shout her out on all the podcast.
She's awesome.
She's just been a great training buddy. She and I went out to Cornelia Fort Air Park, which I had not been to. And we did our time trial on our bikes. And that was just really fun because usually I'm just kind of doing my time trial on, I'll set somewhere and go do it. And so it's not quite as accurate probably, but with the hills in Nashville, it's good training. But to kind of get out there and see there was all different kinds of people out there and see a new place. I think that's been part of the fun for me with this whole experience. And it's fun. We had a lot of headwind on one side, but on one side it was going with us. And so to get quite fast around some of those corners.
That's addictive, isn't it?
Yeah. And then there were deer out and there were turkey and there were all kinds of birds. So it was just like a really unexpected fun experience to have as part of training. So
that's great.
Yeah, when you're in a tight schedule and you're having to kind of lock things down to the same route, the same everything, it can get quite boring. So it's good that you were able to mix it up and get up there and do that. So nice. Well, we're excited for you. We got we'll be watching. I'll be there. I'm going to cheer everybody on and help out. So we'll be watching you through your race. We're excited about it. So thank you very much again for sharing your story and checking back in with us again. And everyone, thanks for all your support and all your questions and comments and thumbs up, 5 stars, all the good stuff. We appreciate all of you as well. So, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Do I usually put it there over the side? I don't know. It's one of those things. Subscribe so you can catch up on all of these things. We'd love to have all of you on there. So thanks again, everybody. And we'll catch you the next time.